नमो अरिहन्ताणं नमो सीताणं नमो अयरियाणं नमो उवज्जायाणं नमो लोये सव्वसाहुणम् मङ्गलं भगवान् वीरो मङ्गलं गौतमो गणी मङ्गलं कुन्दकुन्दाद्यो जैनधर्मोऽस्तु मङ्गलम् सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये सर्वकल्याणकारकं प्रदानं सर्वधर्माणां जैनं जयतु शासनम् जैनं जयतु शासनम् जैनं जयतु शासनम्. So today we had a very good news that our Parmagam Honors course is going to be, they have tied up with university in Bangalore, Jain University, and so you will all get a certificate. After the first 2 years, you will get one certificate, and then the graduation certificate after 3 years. So it makes more sense if you want to pursue further studies in international universities, or you want to take up a job as a teacher or professor, that also, so it has now more weightage. That's what we mean by that. But as far as practical application is concerned, there is no difference, because we are doing this for our own benefit, and still a recognition from a university always carries more weight than normal kind of course. So many people are doing courses in universities just because they are getting a certificate there. So we already have a tie-up with Pandit Todramal Smarak Trust, Jaipur, our main institute, but still that is more of a religious nature, and this is an deemed university. Of course, it is a deemed university, but it has still got more value than the PTSD degree. So anyway, things are moving, new things are coming up, and new avenues are opening up for this. But the best part about our Parmagam Honors course is, which I like the most, is the practical application. They connect it to our day-to-day life. Even the questions are like that, and the oral assignments also will be based on that. So every semester you will have 4 or 5 places where you will be required to think on the practical application of the principles that you have learned. So once you think on those lines, and then you are in a better position to apply it in your day-to-day life. So that was about the good news. Now we'll continue with our chapter of 7 elements, 7 fundamentals or 7 elements. And we had stopped there up to somewhere up to Bandh Tattva. Yeah. So now we'll be doing Samvar, Nirjara and Moksha. So I'll first read the Hindi part, and then we move on to the English one. So we have seen that there are two substances among the 7 fundamentals. 2 are of substance quality, that is Jeev and Ajeev. So for me, all the souls in this world for me are Ajeev. Except my soul, all other souls are Ajeev for me. But to them, they are all individually soul. So when we say Ajeev, it includes that 5 substances: matter, medium of motion, medium of rest, space, and the time. So apart from those 5, all other living beings apart from me are also Ajeev or non-soul for me. So these two, soul and the non-soul, are two among the 7 fundamentals. These two are substance type, and the rest 5 are only an extension of Jeev and Ajeev. So they are modification. They are all modification. They are all part of modification. Which one? Asrav, Bandh, Samvar, Nirjara, Moksha. So Asrav is psychic influxes. Psychic influxes is Bhavasrav, and then material influx is Dravya Asrav. Similarly, we have Bhavbandh and Dravya Bandh, psychic bondage and the material bondage. Now we move on to stoppage of influx, that is Samvar. So again in Samvar we have Bhav Samvar and Dravya Samvar. Before that, there is this question: why have merits and demerits been included in bondage? So it is not included in bondage itself. It is also included in influx also. So merits and demerits, or alternatively we can say auspicious and inauspicious karma. Pap, merits is punya and demerits is pap. So punya and pap, merits and demerits, are only parts of influx and bondage. Not only bondage, they are a part of influx and bondage. So without naming them separately, the writer has included these under influx and bondage. So what is merits and what is demerits? Attachment towards higher entities and inclinations attract merit influxes. शुभ राग से पुण्य, शुभ और अशुभ दोनों ही प्रकार का राग अर्थात पुण्य और पाप दोनों ही छोड़ने योग्य है, क्योंकि ये वे आश्रव और बंध तत्व है. So attachment towards higher entities. Higher entities means those who are above us, the Panch Parmeshtis and all. And inclinations attract merit influxes and bondage. Punya Asrav and Punya Bandh. And impure inclination, Ashubh Bhav, Ashubh Rag, impure inclination and actions, aversions and delusions attract demerit influxes and bondage. तो अशुभ राग, द्वेष और ये सब पाप के अंडर में आते हैं. Both types of attachment, good and bad, Attachment is rag. So good rag or bad rag, merits, that is merits and demerits, are to be shunned, are to be renounced, because they are influx and bondage elements. So they are part of the influx and bondage element. पुण्य और पाप आश्रव और बंध के अंदर आ जाते हैं, आश्रव बंध के ही वे भेद है. To stop both auspicious and inauspicious emotions with the help of pure unattached feeling of the soul is called psychic stoppage. So we have done this. And the automatic stopping of the inflow of fresh karmic matter is material stoppage. Same way, the partial shedding of impurity from the state of the soul with the strength of the sentient soul is psychic shedding. So this was material stoppage and psychic stoppage. So it is bhav samvar and dravya samvar. And now we move on to nirjara, partial shedding of impurity from the state of the soul with the strength of the sentient soul is psychic shedding, bhav nirjara. So bhav nirjara is कि मोह राग द्वेष भाव का आंशिक अभाव होना. And at the same time, the automatic partial shedding of karmic matter is material shedding. So हिंदी में क्या लिखा है? इसी प्रकार ज्ञानानंद स्वभावी आत्मा के लक्ष्य के बल से स्वरूप स्थिरता की वृद्धि द्वारा आंशिक शुद्धि की वृद्धि और अशुद्ध अवस्था का आंशिक नाश करना सो भाव निर्जरा. So here on one side we are increasing, right? Anshik shuddhi ki vriddhi. We are increasing the purity of the soul. And on the other hand, impurity of the soul is getting destroyed. And that is called bhav nirjara, or the psychic shedding. और उसका निमित्त पाकर जड़ कर्मों का अंशत खिर जाना सो द्रव्य निर्जरा है. And at the same time, the automatic partial shedding of karmic matter, right? कर्मों का अंशत, karmic matter is material shedding or the dravya nirjara. So now we have the last one left, moksha, complete liberation. The complete annihilation. Annihilation is destroying or nash. The complete annihilation of the impure state or the impure modification and the emergence of the completely pure and perfect state of the soul is psychic liberation. अशुद्ध दशा का सर्वथा नाश होकर आत्मा की पूर्णत निर्मल पवित्र दशा का प्रकट होना भाव मोक्ष है. The complete destruction of the karmic matter is material liberation. और निमित्त कारण द्रव्य कर्म का सर्वथा नाश होना सो द्रव्य मोक्ष है. So you are getting liberated. So you are leaving all types of karma, dravya karma, bhav karma, and nam karma. All types of karma is getting destroyed, and you are achieving complete liberation. And that is called moksha. So now we come to the conclusion. उक्त सातों तत्वों को भली भांति जानकर एवं समस्त पर तत्वों पर से दृष्टि हटाकर अपने आत्मा तत्व पर दृष्टि ले जाना ही सच्चा सुख प्राप्त करने का सच्चा उपाय है. सो अपने आत्म तत्व पर ही दृष्टि ले जाना ही सच्चा सुख प्राप्त करने का सच्चा उपाय है. The real method of attaining true happiness is to know the above 7 fundamentals and to adhere to our soul element, diverting our vision from all non-soul objects. So this is what we need to do. So we need to divert our focus from the external or non-soul objects to the our soul, and then absorbed in them or adhere to it, take shelter in it, and by doing that we can attain liberation. So the mundane soul who was ignorant, and he studied the scriptures, and from the scriptures he understood all what was being preached, and then he made a decision. So after reading the scriptures, you should contemplate. And once you contemplate, then you arrive at a correct decision. And when you arrive at a correct decision, then your knowledge gets trained, and it develops a way of looking things at in the right perspective. So this was all about this chapter. Now, after each and every chapter, we should do something like what was here for me to accept and adapt, and what was to renounce. So renouncing is hey, छोड़ देना, त्याग कर देना. And adapt and accept is upade, right? And then there is a third category called gne, matra janne ke layak, only to know, and that is gne. So after knowing the correct nature of each elements, that is the 7 elements, once you know the true nature of 7 elements, then you have to apply this gne, worth of knowing, he, worth of renouncing completely, and upade, worthy of taking refuge into or manifesting. So we must do this exercise, and I would like everyone should remember this, and I will ask you in between, because as I said, we are going to do this we are going to study about 7 elements in different ways, maybe 6-7 times throughout the 5 years. So today only I would like you to memorize this he, gne, and pade. So all the 7 elements are worthy of knowing, so they all fall into the category of gne, right? Gne.
Sorry, sir. What you are saying? What's the English meaning of that one?
Worthy of knowing. All
What's
the
that?
elements are worthy of knowing, and
Okay.
worthy of knowing means gne. Gne
Okay.
means which whatever reflects in our knowledge is called gne.
Yeah. Second one.
Second one is he. He is worth of renouncing completely. So among the 7 elements, what is worth of renouncing? Can anyone tell me? Brainstorm a little bit, you will have the answer with you. Among the 7 elements, what is worth renouncing? Which are the elements?
What we should renounce, no?
Yeah,
Bondage, influx.
yeah. These two only are worth renouncing. Influx and bondage. And what is worth of taking refuge into or manifesting? That is
Stoppage, stoppage from influx, moksha, soul.
good. And one more thing. Stoppage is somewhere, and then the shedding of
Nirjara.
nirjara, right?
So what is, I have not written the English word of nirjara. That's why I've written only 6. So I didn't. So what should I write for the English of nirjara?
So there are two types of nirjara. One is bhav nirjara, that is psychic dissociation of bondage. And in our textbook, it is written as
Partial shedding, no?
Partial release from bondage.
Partial shedding of impurity from the state of the soul. So partial shedding or the psychic dissociation of bondage.
Correct.
That is bhav nirjara. And material dissociation of bondage or the partial shedding of karmic matter is called dravya nirjara. So what is upadey? Upadey means worth taking shelter into it, worth taking refuge into, or manifesting. So there are 3 types of upadey tattva. One is आश्रय करने योग्य उपादेय. The other one is pragat करने योग्य उपादेय. And again, pragat करने योग्य उपादेय is of 2 types. One is partial pragat करने योग्य उपादेय, and the one is complete pragat करने योग्य उपादेय. Right? So, samvar, nirjara, and moksha, those 3 are pragat karne yogya upadey, right? So samvar is partial, samvar is pragat karne yogya upadey, ek desh pragat karne yogya upadey. Partially worth manifesting. Okay, samvar and nirjara are partially worth manifesting because they are not the end destination and only a means to the end. By practicing these 2, samvar and nirjara, we can get liberated. So,
Sir, wait. Sir, so these are pragat karne, samvar, nirjara, and moksha, and ashrav and bandha. They are, what do we call them in Hindi?
A,
Worth
of renouncing, yeah. So upadey is 2 types. One is ashray karne yogya upadey, that is our soul, pure soul, and one is pragat karne yogya upadey. So pragat karne yogya upadey means worth manifesting, right? So which is worth manifesting? Samvar and nirjara is partially worth manifesting, and liberation is fully worth manifesting, right? So samvar nirjara is ekdesh upadey, and moksha is pragat karne yogya sampurna upadey. And Jeev Tattva is the only one whose shelter should be taken. आश्रय करने योग्य उपादेय एकमात्र जीव तत्व.
So Jeev, and what about Ajeev?
You just tell me what will Ajeev fall into? Hey, Gne, and Upadey out of these 3. Anyone else also can try, not only Aditi.
So, hey.
Hey, anyone else?
Worth of knowing.
Yes, very good.
Gnei.
Worth of
So
gnei.
gnei, yeah?
It is only gnei, right?
Gnei.
So in the first place, all the seven are worth knowing, right? But ajiv is only worth knowing. It doesn't fall into gnei or hey. Why? Because it is ajiv. It is not creating uh, any harmful effect on us, any harmful effect on the soul. So it is only worth of knowing. But due to ignorance, the soul either sees either see something as beneficial or something not beneficial. So the one which is worth beneficial, uh, we produce this attachment, feeling of attachment, right? And the one which is non-beneficial, uh, we do aversion to that. So again, we are into attachment and aversion. But if we consider is only worth knowing, right? No attachment and no aversion, then it is called Gnei. So Ajiv Tattva is not Hey, not Upadey, but only Gnei, only worth of knowing. So now we have clarity for all. First step, all are worth knowing, right? Because unless and until we don't know its nature, how we can renounce it or uh, take refuge in it, right? So in the first place, all the seven are worth knowing, Gnei Tattva. Then uh, we move on to each. First of all, we talk about the Hey Tattva. So Asrav and Bandh are Hey Tattva. Asrav is influx and Bandh is bondage. Influx and bondage are Hey Tattva, right? Worth renouncing. Why it is worth renouncing? Because it is the chief cause of our miseries, right? So when something is harming us, is causing misery in us, then why should we keep it? So it is worth renouncing. And then we come to the Upadey Tattva. And among the Upadey, there are two types. One is worth taking refuge in it, and the other is partially worth manifesting or totally worth manifesting, right? So Samvar and Nirjara is partially worth manifesting, and moksha is totally worth manifesting. Now, I would ask a question, why Samvar and Nirjara is partially worth manifesting and why moksha is totally worth manifesting?
So in Samvar and Nirjara, you don't completely clear your karmas. Yeah.
Right. So because they are not the end of destination and only a means to the end. And liberation is complete, uh, totally worth manifesting. Liberation is totally worth manifesting. And what is, uh, yeah, so our soul is worth taking refuge in, that is Asray Karne Yogya Upadey. And this Samvar Nirjara are not worth taking refuge in it. So I would ask you, why Samvar Nirjara and Moksha is not worth taking refuge in? why is soul worth taking refuge and why Samvar, Nijra and Moksha is not worth taking refuge in it? What could be the reason?
Because soul is the most pure element.
They are pure elements, that is true.
There is completely bliss in there.
No, not exactly. Anyone else? Rajeshri ji, can you try? Subhaji, you can also try. Why I'm asking this question? Because these are all very important, and once you remember that you have done a mistake, the next time you remember it correctly.
Because Samvar and Nirjara, maybe you again create bondages, but in Moksha there is zero
No, they
bondage.
don't create bondage. They don't create bondage.
They don't create reduction hai, par
Yeah.
it's not a complete reduction, na? Whereas Moksha is a complete reduction, zero of karmas.
I am taking these three things. Samvar, Nirjara, and Moksha. Why it is not worth taking refuge in it, and why they are only worth manifesting or producing.
Only manifesting and not taking refuge, because once you manifest, then you manifest till you reach moksha. Each of these. But soul is the pure element that will recur and remain forever, and the best way to sustain, best way to live is to remain in only jiva and pure state, not even in the other three, right?
Because these are all of one samay. Samvar, Nirjara, and Moksha are of one samay. Because they are part of the manifestation, and every moment it is evolving and extinction is happening every moment. So they are not permanent things, but the soul is the permanent. It is unchangeable. It doesn't get influenced by anything, right? So we should take shelter which is of permanent nature. These are already they are only for one samay. So how we can take refuge to them? So they are not worth taking refuge. Only we should take shelter in pure soul. So now all the sevens are correct. He, Gne, and Upadhyay. Can anybody tell everything clearly, step by step?
I can try.
Yeah.
So He, Gne, and Upagne. And He are the elements that we must renounce. So over here we should renounce ashrav or bandh, which is influx, bondage. We have to try to reduce. Then there is gne. Gne is what we should know. Knowledge we should know. We should know. We should percept all seven. So actually we should know all seven. But non-soul is the only one which we only should know, achieve. The others either we have to he or upagne. And upagne is what we have to either
Upadhyay. UPADEY. Upadhyay.
So upadhyay are the ones that we have to manifest or seek permanent refuge in. So first what we have to take partial manifestation or partial refuge is samvar and nirjara, that is stoppage from influx, and psychic dissociation of bondage, that is dravya nirjara and bhav nirjara. If we can, then sampurna karna upadhyay is moksha, and complete refuge. What's that?
Totally worth manifesting.
Totally worth manifesting. And totally what is what we have to actually take refuge in the right state is Jeev, because it is permanent, it is pure and it is permanent, non-changing. The other three are only for one samay, but soul is forever, Jeev is permanent.
So I would like the other three also to repeat those things, either in Hindi or English, whatever you are comfortable with. But you should know this very thoroughly. And this is, we are going to put in practice when we do discriminative knowledge, Ved Gyan. So this is the basis of Ved Gyan. He Gnain Upade. So after knowing every concept, you should have what is worth renouncing and what is worth taking refuge into. So you should always categorize into two categories, either He or Upade, right? Because Gnei, anyways, it is all are Gnei only. So we have to decide among ourselves which one is He and which one is Upade. And once we decide what is He and what is Upade, then only we have a clear direction what is worth renouncing and what is worth taking shelter in, right? So this is how for every concept you should, in the end, you should have a conclusion about it. What are the takeaways? Whether it is worth taking refuge or whether it is worth just manifesting or whether it is worth renouncing. So this you must make a decision about everything that you read. So in the 7 elements, so Rajeshri ji, can you repeat what Aditi ji said just now?
Renouncing is He,
Yeah.
Nirjara and Samvar, which we release from our soul. And Upade is partial birth.
Ashrav and Ban, influx and
Ashrav
stoppage, influx and bond, sorry, are worth renouncing completely.
He is Samvar and Nirjara.
No, He is Ashrav and Ban.
He is Ashraf and Band. He is Ashraf and Nirjara, no sir. Nahi, Band.
Ashrav and Ban. Ashrav is influx and Ban is bondage.
Okay.
And Upade is, all four are Upade. Among Samvar, Nirjara is partial, worth
And
moksha
is full
manifesting, totally and partial. You should mention these words. Right?
Moksha is totally worth manifesting.
Right. And pure soul or Jeev Tattva is worth.
Jeev is pure Tattva.
So it is worth taking shelter in.
Yeah.
Right?
Jeev is take shelter in the pure soul. Soul is permanent and not.
Yeah.
Soul is permanent. So that
unchangeable,
is
unchangeable, remaining static. So among the 7 elements, you are the which? You are which element?
We are the soul.
Yeah, we are the soul, right? So everything else is different from us, right? Whether it is Ajit Tattva or Asrav or Bandh or Samvar or Nirjara or Moksha, they are all different from me, right? I am the Jeev. So when you know the correct nature of each element, and then you come at a decision of what is worth renouncing and what is worth manifesting and what is worth knowing, and if you categorize into 3, then you have a right, you can achieve a right belief of these 7 fundamentals, and it lead to self-realization, right? And I was giving that day an example of the 7 elements about that boat. A person was crossing a river through a boat. So that person is Jeev Tattva, and the boat is Ajeev Tattva. So while he was crossing, he saw there was a small hole in the boat, and through that small hole, water was coming in. So that hole, no, not that hole, that water which was coming in through that hole is influx. And the water that was getting accumulated inside the boat is Bandha Tattva, right? Bondage. So we have Jeev, wooden boat is Ajeev, then the water coming through that hole is influx, and the water getting stored in the boat is bondage. Now, what he will do if he has to survive? Then what he should do? He cleverly sealed the hole. He put some clothes in that hole, so the water stopped coming, right? So the stoppage of water coming inside the boat is what? Stoppage of influx somewhere, right?
Somewhere.
And then what he was doing is, all the accumulated water, now the new water is not coming in, but all the water that was accumulated earlier, now he's taking a mug and throwing it out, right? Throwing it out into the river. So the water is getting reduced inside the boat, and that is called nirjara, right? And when the complete water is taken out from the boat, it is called moksha or liberation. So now you know,
where is Band? Band is what, sir? Band?
the water that is getting accumulated, that was getting accumulated in the boat is bondage.
Band.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So the traveler is Jeev, the boat is Ajeev, the water coming inside the boat through the hole is influx, the accumulation of water inside the boat is bondage. Then he cleverly put some clothes into the hole, and the water stops coming inside, and that is called stoppage of influx or somewhere. And then he starts throwing that water out that was accumulated inside the boat. Slowly and slowly he's throwing that water out with the help of a mug, and that is called nirjara, or the shedding of the bondage, right? So that is nirjara, and when the water completely goes out, it is called liberation or moksha. So this is how that person can cross the river. And this was an example for this 7 fundamentals. There is one more example. A farmer takes out a loan for agriculture, but he's not making much profit, and his debt is increasing each year. Now, in order to survive, he is taking a new loan, because anyway he has to pay those interest. So he's taking a new loan every year. So the farmer is Jeev Tattva, and his farm, or the place where he's doing the farming or the agricultural land, is the Ajeev Tattva. His new loans are Asrav Tattva, and his previous loans that have accumulated over the years are Bandh Tattva. And now the government came up with a scheme and provided free fertilizer and irrigation support to all the farmers. With that kind of help, he did not have to take new loans, which is Samvar. And with his profit, he started paying off his previous debt, that is Nirjara. And within a few years, he is able to completely pay up all his loan, and that is liberation from debt, or the Moksha Tattva. So I think now you more or less know the nature of each 7 Tattva. And if you know correctly the nature of each elements, then only you can achieve self-realization or Samyak Darshan. That is a precondition. When you know the true nature of each of the 7 fundamentals, then only you can achieve Samyak Darshan or the self-realization of the soul. So these 7 fundamentals are very important, and this leads to right belief or Samyak Darshan. I would suggest that you just go through it once more, and if you have any queries, any doubt, there is one more practical that I wanted to do, but I think we will do it when we in the part 2, when we will be studying Vitrag Vigyan part 2. There is a chapter Sat Tattva, again 7 fundamentals, errors in 7 fundamentals. The name of the chapter is Errors in 7 Fundamentals. And when we read that errors, I will explain you how these 7 fundamentals leads to right belief. What is the practical way out? Till then, you think over and brainstorm on it. I think that will, because this concept is very important for self-realization or getting the right belief. So I think these 7 elements and the nature of 6 substances, right? These are enough for practicing discriminative knowledge. So these are very important chapter, and you should learn it thoroughly. And if you have any doubts, you must ask. So we'll be reading it every semester, of course. Next semester also we'll read about it, and 3rd semester also we'll read about it, and 4th semester also we'll read about it, and 5th semester also we'll read about it. So it is going continually in some way or the other. Now we are having this Vitrag Vigyan 1, this chapter. The next, in Vitrag Vigyan 2, we will be reading, studying about the errors. And then there is Tattva Gyan. Again, we will be studying about the errors. And then there is Chaydala. There also we will be reading about this errors. And then, of course, in Moksha Prakasak, 4th Adhikar and 7th Adhikar, there are both includes about errors. And then the 9th Adhikar, which you will be taught in the 9th semester, there again, in Moksha Prakasak, it's very given in detail about these 7 elements. So, and also in Dravya Sangra, there is discussion on 7 elements. So it's a very popular topic. So we took almost 4 classes for this, and these are some of the important chapters where you can directly start practicing descriptive knowledge, and you can achieve right belief now only. You need not know so much of knowledge, reading so many scriptures and doing this 5 years course. But if you know about this 7 fundamentals correctly, you will achieve right belief. And to know the 7 fundamentals correctly, we need to explore the soul from different angles, different viewpoints. And for that, we need to have a systematic study. And those institutes which are there in India, like Jaipur and Kota and Baswada, and then we have one in Bhopal, and for the girls there is one in Udaipur. And so these are some of the places where this Sastri course is being done live for the students. And those students who pass out class 10th, they go to these places and study this for the next 5 years. But we are very lucky to have this course coming up, which is again a brainchild of the ideas are from Swanubhuti ji. And because of that, so many people, around 2,000 students are already there in Parmagam, are getting into this. Only thing is that surviving this course is a very challenge, and we have almost 50% people dropping out, So it is very important that you stick to it. Attend the classes. If you keep on attending classes, then you will not feel bored, or you will be able to continue it. So the continuing it is a challenge, and initially it looks a bit difficult, but as we progress onto the course semester per semester, we see that things become very easy, and by the end of 2 years, I think your whole fundamentals will be clear, and you will be able to understand. If you pick up any scriptures and read it, then I think you will be able to make out the meanings. But to practice this, we will continue with another 3 years, and wherein you are actually being taught the actual scriptures like Samay Sar and of course Moksmar Prakashak, and then we have many other, around 40 different types of scriptures. So you are very lucky that you have come to the right place. Now we move on to the next chapter. We are almost through to the time, but we'll still read through the new chapter. And the new 4th chapter is the 6 essentials. So Subaji, you can read through this chapter, and the next class I'll be just explaining. Tomorrow is the next class, so I'll be explaining the chapter directly. So just read through. There is a conversation between a preacher and listeners, Vakta and the Pravachankar, Jigyasu and Pravachankar.
Yes, sir. A preacher. All the creatures of this world like to be happy and are afraid of grief. They try their best to save themselves from this grief, but they do not know the correct remedy of getting rid of grief, and so they remain unhappy. Listener 1. Then what is the real remedy of saving oneself from grief? Preacher. To understand the soul and absorb ourselves therein is the real remedy, and in fact, that is our essential duty. Listener 2. You have begun to talk of the monks. What should we householders do to gain true happiness? Preacher. Remedy to destroy grief and obtain real happiness is common to all. It is another thing that makes monks, by dint of their strong determination, achieve great happiness, and householders, according to their background, achieve partial happiness. The householder with true faith who treads over this path has auspicious inclinations also along with the essentials associated with partial sublimation. These are called external essentials. They are 6 in kind: worship of God, devotion towards the monk, self-study, abstinence, penance, and charity. Listener, please explain these in brief. Preacher, the partial purity of the householder with true faith is real psychic worship of God and recitation of his qualities after comprehending the real nature of God is external worship. The householder worships God, offering 8 substances, reflecting upon the great attributes of non attachment, omniscience, and other perfect qualities, and that is called external worship. Likewise, partial purity of the householder, having right faith, is psychic devotion towards the monk and to reflect upon the attributes of the monks after understanding their real nature is their external devotion. You have been told before that the Arahantas and the Siddhas are called gods, while the Acharyas, Upadhyayas, and Sadhus are all monks. Partial purity befitting the householder with faith is psychic self study, and to study the scriptures expounding the fundamentals of Jainism and to reflect upon them is external life study. Should I continue, sir?
Yeah. Finish it off.
Okay. Listen up. So I have known the 3 essentials. What are the other 3? Preacher, partial purity of the soul, befitting a householder with real faith, is psychic abstinence and its accompaniments of non-violence and control of senses are external abstinence. The partial purity of the soul of the householder, that is, the avoidance of merits and demerits, is psychic penance, and the consequent auspicious inclinations for fasting, etc., are external penance. The partial purity suitable to the householder is psychic charity, that is, giving purity of our own beings and to give money, etc., to others, that is, for the good of the giver and those who receive this is external charity. It is of 4 kinds: gift of food, gift of knowledge, gift of medicine, gift of fearlessness. Listener, what is the difference between psychic essentials and external ones? Preacher, psychic essentials are pure religious tendencies that remove bondage, and external essentials are causes of merit bondage. Psychic essentials are of those householders alone who have real consciousness, desire to worship God, and perform other essentials also arise in the minds of householders not having real consciousness. On account of mild passions and merits, such householders have merit bondage, but that is not real religion of the soul. Listener, if you preach like that, householders not having correct consciousness will discard the essentials like worship of God, etc. Preacher, expounding religious truth is for the upliftment of the soul. If people discard essential like worship of God and tread on wrong paths, they will face demerits. Therefore, it is not desirable to stop worship of God, etc.
So there is a famous line from the scripture, Padmanandi Panch Visitika. From there, this lesson is adapted, and in the Hindi version, the original lines of that book is also given. Dev Puja Guru Pasti Swadhyay Sanyamas Tapaha Danas Cheti Grihastanam Shat Karmani Dine Dine. So every day you should follow these 6 essentials. And why should we follow these 6 essentials? And what are the benefits if we follow these 6 essentials? And what are the losses if we are not following these 6 essentials, everything we will discuss in the next class tomorrow. I think tomorrow we have class. So tomorrow at 9 p.m. we will discuss all these things. So you come, you read this chapter once and come, and we will be also discussing in Hindi also. So over a period of time, you will get accustomed to the Hindi words also and English words also. And the main idea is to get the correct understanding. So the language is a bit barrier in this knowledge, but we can't help it, and that is how it is given here. But there is something I told you about, a portal is coming up and there are good articles written, and I think then we will have a very thorough understanding of the scripts further. But if we continue with the Hindi and English simultaneously, I think then you will pick up more. So we'll be doing it simultaneously. And again, if you have any questions, you can always ask. Okay. निज निधि निज में बताई, यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना 7 बार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना 7 बार है. Anyone of you are going to Indore? Nobody is going, right?